Yes, this is me, Hudson George. Just doing a live, you know what I mean? My topic is passing legislation in parliament when a government is in power and they have the majority. Sometimes those legislations they pass in parliament into bill or laws in third world countries like Grenada and developed countries. Sometimes those things don't last forever. It's just the era of the political party in power. For example, if we look at the Caribbean, in Dominica, there was something called the Dread Act in Dominica. And Patrick John, when the Rasta people were doing foolishness in Dominica too. Because they kidnap a man called Mr. Honeychurch and kill him. Right? But then, okay, Patrick John passed the Dread Act. Now, if my memory serves me right, is it marijuana being decriminalized in Dominica? I think so. I don't want to lie, but it's the same Patrick John party is in power, right? So there was in Trinidad you had Sedition Act during the Black Power movement. You have different things in Caribbean countries pass already. I just use those for examples. Now we have new government in Grenada and Trinidad. And the Prime Minister in Trinidad and Tobago, Kamala Passad, increased the age for drinking. I think I see that in the news. Drinking and smoking. Why she do that? Trinidad is an era where young people out of hand, drugs and alcohol. It could be that. Or it could be gun crime cause it. Now, okay. Kamala don't expect to rule Trinidad forever. So that bill going to go one day. Now I remember when the PNM was in power, the European or the British gave East Indian in Guyana and Trinidad, and maybe Suriname too. Maybe in Suriname they had the rights, and maybe in Grenada they didn't look into the rights. An old East Indian man could have married a 12-year-old girl. Because I think there was a case in Guyana where a man who was up in his 60s wanted to marry that young woman, and then when they look, they couldn't lock him up because according to the law, the British allowed the East Indian to continue the Hindu culture or whatever, if it's Muslim or whatever it was. Right? So even smoking of marijuana, even though Kamala has increased the age of smoking marijuana in Trinidad, a Hindu priest in Trinidad could smoke marijuana because a police they arrest a Hindu priest in Trinidad for smoking marijuana, and a lawyer knew the case, knew the law. So in court they had to dismiss the case. The pandit had the right to smoke marijuana, right? So now in Grenada we have Mr. Deacon Mitchell now. Me don't know, I don't understand what's going on. I still don't understand. Now, we have October 19th, and he's dictating how we should observe October 19th, which is not democratic. Now we're going to have August 1st coming up as a holiday. Well, I hear little thing here and there. August 1st could be controversial too. So now you can tell me we were in slavery for almost over 300 years or close to 300 years. And some government come in and tell you how to celebrate it. Now, just now you go tell people everybody should go to whatever religion the majority of MPs in parliament belongs to. Or how to dress. Or what to eat, what to cook. I don't know, everything is a era, right? So, when we look at global politics now, I see Russia claiming land in Ukraine, and historians saying Russia had once owned those lands. Then I see global news again where Russia had a problem with Azerbaijan. And there is a part of Iran that is where the Aziz live too, the same Azerbaijan people, but they are under Iran influence. Right? So one set under Russia influence, one set under Iran influence, even though Azerbaijan no longer part of the Soviet Union, but Russia still have some link there. And there is a little conflict brewing over there too. So the revival of eras. Azerbaijan used to be one part of the Soviet Union. Right? Now, Prime Minister Dick Mitchell, some of the things he doing, you remember Maurice Bishop at People's Law 1, People's Law 2, and People's Law 3. But he had the majority in Parliament, he might be able to pass those things into law. But these things wouldn't last forever, it will only just be for his era. And then, what legacy is going to leave behind by you interfering in everything? It is just for the era when his party is in power. So let us say crime reduce in Trinidad. Less killing. After a period of time in Trinidad, maybe our next government might say, well, if you're 18 years, you could buy alcohol again. But the point is that 18-year-old people still going to be voting in Trinidad. Kamala Passad is a lawyer. Can citizens take her to court for that? Mind you, I don't smoke marijuana. I don't smoke marijuana because I find maybe if I used to smoke marijuana, I would look old. Older than how I am. Right now, I don't cut my hair. When I cut my hair, I look young. Because I remember when I go into Windsor. If I cut my hair and I cut my beard, people don't know how old I am. They can't see my age. Right? But I'm not a flashy person. Maybe today I might cut it. So I go into to Windsor on the via train, buying ticket downtown at Union Station, Toronto. And you never know who see you when you come and buy, and I was crossing the border regular. And so one day I go up to a black lady, maybe in she 30s, to get my ticket. I want to show her my ID. She said, I cut my hair looking fresh. I had to cross the border. She said, you sure you don't lying on your age? I said, no, man, that is my age. I'm a pensioner. But it's a good thing she asked me that. That's why it is good to have black people working in place. When blacks have good job, he help you. I was buying train ticket to Windsor and they were charging me the regular price. I should be paying like a senior. So when I give her the idea again, I said, this is me, man. Look. She said, but you're not supposed to pay like a senior. And like I am, pay like a regular person. You're supposed to buy ticket as a senior. Then I start getting my VRL ticket as a senior because I reached the age to be a senior. But I don't look like a senior. If I go cut my hair and thing and I come back on live, I look young. Right? So I'm not into the marijuana thing, but I'm just saying how politicians operate, because Even though Kamala might change the age for the marijuana now, she wouldn't interfere with the pundit priest smoking of marijuana. You understand? And when the PNM government they changed the law that all hard black men can marry underage girls in Trinidad, the Mahashaba wasn't happy. He think the PNM government was infringing on the Hindu people rights. You understand? Is Miss Kamala Passad practicing Hindu? I don't know, because educated people, you never know. You know, they're flexible. It's political power. She had to keep the country in order. And she want to get rid of crime in Trinidad. So maybe she might be saying, okay, the smoking of marijuana lead to crime. Alcohol make people behave in a deviant way. Whatever. She won the election not only an East Indian vote. There's a section of the population in Trinidad and Tobago, especially, well, say Trinidad. Because Tobagonian, you could say they break away from Trinidad in a democratic way. They vote for their own kind. So maybe it could be that there are a conservative element or a concern element in Trinidad, what Mosey wanted to change the laws, because without the other ethnic vote, maybe she wouldn't win the election. You see? In politics, people vote for their interests. As I get older, I realize politics is interests. Now, I am a critic when I read it, but I don't really support no political party. But when I see wrong move making, I don't say, oh, I just have an opinion. Right? You understand? So, all this legislation, this Grenada government introducing this parliament is just for a era. I don't want to dwell on King Charles. But what they're doing there is just big woos. Because they can't, you could change little thing, they go feel liberated where they don't have to do any simi-dimi or rituals to King Charles in Parliament. But what about the rest of Grenada? You are the Royal Grenada Police Force. You are the Governor General. So who is fooling who? How much Tom Dick Mitchell go make? 2 thumb, 3 thumb? Well, one day he go. Or who know? He might make 2, he might make 1 thumb. We don't know. He could make 5 thumb. And then he don't seems to learn from the jab people. Because you might say one thing in Parliament and then the jab people do something else. He might like Maurice Bishop, but he can't do us like what Maurice Bishop does. The Constitution says people have rights. So even though you're Prime Minister and you're governing from the center and you could get your members of Parliament to pass bills, that don't mean the citizens not to support the bills. Because if I live in Grenada, maybe I might play music on October 19th. Well, you put me in jail. Oh, I don't know what they will say for emancipation day. So you will lock me up if I celebrate emancipation the way perhaps the government don't want. I don't know. I just presupposing. After 400 years of slavery or 300. So all these things we're doing doesn't make sense. For example, the Japanese and the Italian was compensated in Canada because during the Second World War they locked them up, right? Because Italy was supporting Hitler. Japanese was putting locked up too because Japan was supporting Hitler. Right? And one of the deal, I think, was Japanese wanted to be recognized as as equal like white people. based on racism, right? So, so what Deacon Mitchell and the crew and them doing in Grenada? Some of the changes is just being an era. An era, man. Change is constant. You understand what I'm saying? So all you need is just people to say no, you know. And then now, with this thing about King Charles again, Dick Mitchell, some of his supporters didn't support the referendum. So how he feel comfortable to tell people now we're getting rid of King Charles to Parliament? So politics is a funny thing. As I said, politics is interest group. And you know, we are a little fox and groups thing in Grenada. And so, and bantering who should do it for us and who don't do it. But it's like forcing mango to ripe. A mango is supposed to ripe properly. It's like putting some kind of chemical on a mango to get it to ripe quick. Or banana, or, you know, wash banana for it to stay green till it reach Europe those days. Or if you don't want the mangoes to ripe, you do it something, or if you want it to ripe. So, in a way, sometimes I look at Caribbean politicians as masqueraders. You in power, you masquerading until you're out of power, or a band leader, they say they play one kind of mass, and next say they play a next different kind of mass. So voters is the one to decide. You understand? So passing legislation is just something that lasts forever. It's just for a year. Because when election time come, the opposition people might campaign against it, and he might not work in the government favor. And then when we look at the trend globally, even Kamala could get a kickback too, because the elders in Trinidad dying out. And I don't smoke marijuana. Marijuana, to me, I don't think everybody could handle marijuana. Some people could, and some people want to get crazy. I believe that, based on what I've seen in Toronto. After they decriminalize it, I see more crazy people on the street. So what else? Some drugs or something making them crazy. Plus you have stress already. Drugs is for people who want money. Giving poor people drugs to use. You're only creating more mental case because they don't have problem, right? So okay, so she advanced the age and say, in more years, she might be saving some people's life, some young people's life, but also the culture of the smoking already is there. So she go get resistance. So her laws will just be a era. I don't think she might, if the pundit ask her to take out the law that PNM passed that East Indian girl should marry at 12 years old, I don't think she go take out that one. I don't think so. You understand? She mightn't take it out. But maybe she do. Some Hindus might like it. But then you have in Trinidad, East Indian in Trinidad, a little bit more westernized. You understand? So, we have to look at society and what politicians doing in the region. And a lot of things politicians doing in Caribbean region. Why cannot stand to? Our economy is based on trading with bigger countries. Now, Kamala also in a little thing with Venezuela with oil and gas. But then I heard her the other day like she want to deal again with Venezuela. But then also she said she trying to please Donald Trump too. You understand? So I don't know, politics is a funny thing. And who didn't displease him? The late Maurice Bishop? Or he just have his own thing doing, or he is listening to people what was close to Maurice Bishop. But I more believe in listening to people that was close to Maurice Bishop, not knowing he is inexperienced in what he's doing. Because corporate lawyer, bright guy, educated guy, he should have know the jab will come out on him. So Emancipation Day, people might not come out like the jab, but are you going to close down Batway and Grandhands Beach? Or guys cooking food by the road? Or they beating drum? We are African people, majority. How can a government decide how African people or African descendant people should celebrate our independence? When we coming from different tribes in Africa, and we love the drum, we love the wine. What is it? Is it NDC a religious party? A religion we don't know about? I don't know. I know some of them boys went to Jesuit school, but I don't know. As I said in a little life before, it was the Roman Catholic priest. A Roman Catholic priest that put us in slavery. He suggests that make black people slaves. So I don't know, What really going on, man? You know what I'm saying? Suppose the Shouter Baptist and the Shango man come out, what you go do to them? These are the resistance people. So just watching and see what's going on in Grenada. You know what I mean? Just watch and observe. And so I say my thing, And what I observe in Grenada with a lot of educated people, when something happening, they're not giving opinion. Instead of giving an opinion, they make it a classroom study. But having things like classroom studies wouldn't change nothing. You have to have opinions on those things. People must come forward and have opinion. And I still pleading to rural Grenadians, man. Come out and give your views, man. Grenada belongs to all of us. Now I got news. Somebody died in my village. Somebody I know, younger than me. They die. Could it be the person had a heart attack? These is things we have to talk about. The farthest place from St. George's is Hermitage, St. Patrick. Even though Hermitage is not on the tip of the north of St. Patrick. Hermitage is more west, southwest St. Patrick. But is the farthest place from St. George's. You know why? In Hermitage, if you want to go to St. George, you have to go to Sotters and then go down on the western side. So you go north, a little bit more north, even though Hermitage is north. But you go north to Sotters and then you go west to on the western coast to St. George's. Now, if you want to make a other way, you come down and you go southeast, and then you go east to Grenville, and then you could go west over the Grenada and then go back south, right? Kind of southwest, and you end up in St. George's Town over the Grenada, or if you go east to St. David from St. Andrew, right? You continue, right? So we, from Hermitage, I think we leave the 40s from St. Patrick, based on our traveling. But Sotters is more a further point, but based on how we have to travel as people in St. Patrick. You understand? So that person who died in my village, what said they didn't feeling well, and then they find they dead. These are things we have to address. It's not telling people please sell down days for October 19 or how to interpret people emancipation. Train people to do in areas where if somebody got a heart attack or a brain aneurysm, you could survive till you get further treatment. Now, last weekend, I was in Afrofest in Toronto, and they had paramedics, police paramedics, whatever. Emergency. People having good time, but there is doctors, and the sun was hot. I think last week Saturday was like close to 35 degrees Celsius. That is over 90 degrees Fahrenheit. So close to 100 degrees Fahrenheit. These are the things we have to look at after. And then, what I observe with a lot of people in Grenada too, they know they're supporting wrong thing, but they're defending. It's like a game of soccer. Politics in Grenada come like a Grenada soccer, a game of soccer. And you know what go up with Grenada? I don't think we are industrious people too. Because this culture of people criticizing without reasoning could lead to we won't go in an industrialized way because we don't support wrong thing. Just for political mileage. For example, let us say I was in Grenada and I want to go in the Market Square in St. George and pay homage to all the people that the British hung in the Market Square in the Federal Revolution. Or if I want to go to Sutter's and say, I'm doing a thing for the Caribs, or are doing something for the black people, how can government tell people how to interfere with things like that? Was a democratic rights. The other day I go down to Toronto a couple of weeks ago, maybe about close to a month, it don't reach a month yet. There was a rally downtown Toronto. People from Congo, Sudan, they're talking about how war in Sudan and in Congo, civil war, and women getting raped and so. Then next thing I see a set of bikers passing on the street and they're naked as they born. You understand? So I say, where is that? And police protecting these riders naked as they born. Maybe 110 or 120 motorcycle riders naked as they born. But there were more male in it than female. And I saw only one black man with dreadlocks in the group. Everybody was Caucasian. And they just ride through the tongue, you know. You understand? So, what I'm saying is that in the world we live in, when you have a government in power, the way people have pluralistic ways of thinking today, and pluralism in thinking don't come only to deviant behavior in today's society. The genesis of pluralism in the Caribbean come from the churches. The church. If you are raised a Roman Catholic, the priest never give you some wine to drink. But if you are raised in the Anglican church, you get some wine to drink. And maybe the other Protestant church, when they're having communion ritual, but the Catholic priest drink only wine, you don't get wine, you get horse. So what is that? Is that pluralism? So how can you have a government power and to tell people how to do this, do that? In a democracy. And then when they come out, if they come out in large number, what passes in parliament cannot stand. Because you can't kill people. So it doesn't make sense. I think a lot of things politicians does be doing doesn't make sense. The supporters might be on social media saying, yes, he's right, he's good. But just political talk. We Caribbean people, I don't know, I don't know. When you come in power, rule and leave a mark behind. If you could leave a legacy, leave. But there's certain things, politicians must leave alone, Because you're only there for a season. An era. An era. You only there for an era. Anyway, this is me, Hudson George. How you going, Till I come again.